This is Fox 8 News at 9 p.m.
Good evening, I'm Meg Gatto. Gunmen opened fire during a Mother's Day second line in the 7th Ward. Tonight, 19 people are injured, some suffering gunshot wounds, others sustaining injuries trying to flee the scene. It happened just before 2 o'clock this afternoon near the intersection of Frenchman and North Villeray Streets. Tonight, police search for 3 suspects they say are responsible for the crime.
I fell next to a lady. I fell right next to her. And she was shot. Her arm looked so bad.
Ed Buckner still can't believe what he witnessed Sunday afternoon. Buckner was leading the original Big 7 second line parade to celebrate Mother's Day when police say 3 gunmen opened fire on a group of some 300 people parading in the streets.
It appears that these 2 or 3 people, just for a reason unknown to us, started shooting at, towards, or in the crowd. It was over in just a couple seconds. Police were everywhere.
Chief Surpass says there were 10 police officers marching along with the crowd. Some were stationed at the front of the second line, some in the middle, and some in the back. Yet despite the police presence, the gunmen still opened fire. Among the wounded, a 10-year-old girl who suffered a graze wound to the back. Neighbors describe a chaotic scene as people tried to run from the violence.
When I see everybody scared and people falling, I ran inside and I shut my door.
My husband and my daughter were on their way home. My 5-year-old witnessed the people being shot, and when she got home, she ran inside the house and she asked me to close the door. She did not want the people coming in after her to shoot her.
So many bystanders were among those shot or injured. Ed Buckner says of all days, to have this happen on Mother's Day is sickening.
For somebody to start shooting and for you to see mothers and children and people from all cross sectors of life, ethnic backgrounds and everything, having fun together, and to see them down on the ground hurt, it's a very sad thing.
Police have a description of one of the suspects. He's described as an African-American male, 18 to 22 years old, with short hair, wearing a white shirt with blue jean shorts. As police continue to search for the gunman, doctors at University Hospital work on the victims. Sabrina Wilson joins us live at University with more on the people being treated there. Sabrina?
Hi, Meg. And Mayor Mitch Landrieu stopped his own Mother's Day celebration and showed up here at the city's Level 1 Trauma Center, where most of the victims ended up. Of course, it is Mother's Day, a day when mothers are supposed to be joyous and celebrating. But tonight, some mothers in this city are injured and others are hurting inside.
Mothers that were shot, sisters that were shot. We have little children that were shot on top of the shooting that we had a couple of weeks ago. Where, thank God the young boy lived.
Now, the 2 10-year-old victims suffered graze wounds this afternoon. Dozens of people flocked to University Hospital on the trail of loved ones who were rushed here. Doctors say injuries to victims are varied, including the chest and stomach. Of course, the staff here at University is used to handling trauma victims, including those with gunshot wounds.
There were minor injuries and there were some very severe injuries, and all of them being taken care of. Some here at the Spirit of Charity Trauma Center, some of the other hospitals.
It's not the second line that did the shooting, and the cultural events are very, very important to us. It's like calling for an end to Mardi Gras because somebody takes an opportunity to shoot somebody during one of our parades. That we don't have any reason to believe that any of these individuals were involved with the clubs at all.
And again, despite the shooting, the gunman opening fire when hundreds of people were in the area, doctors say none of the injuries appear life-threatening. We don't have any information whether anyone has been released at this time, but of course the doctors here say they will take good care of the victims who suffered myriad injuries. Some people, of course, shot. Other people fell trying to get away from the gunfire. Meg, back to you.
All right, thanks, Sabrina. We'll check back in with you at 10 o'clock. Well, one of the victims is journalist Deborah Cotton, who works for Gambit. She's also a blogger known online as Big Red Cotton. Earlier today, Gambit tweeted, Gambit second line correspondent Big Red Cotton among 12 shot at Mother's Day second line. More soon. Good thoughts, please. Gambit says she's in stable condition tonight after surgery.
And here at University Hospital, some good news. Seven people have been discharged since the shooting. 3 remain. one in critical, another in stable. And over at Tulane Medical Center, 2 more patients are there. One was discharged overnight. One is said to be in fair condition. The other is listed in good condition and could be released today. Now, police, of course, looking for any help that the public might give them as to who were responsible for these shootings. If you know anything, please call Crime Stoppers at 822-1111. The reward has been increased to $10,000. We are expecting to get an update from the New Orleans Police Department on their search for the suspect as well sometime later this afternoon. Of course, we'll have the very latest on Fox 8 News at 4, 5, and 5:30 tonight.
Rob Masson is live from NOPD headquarters with the breaking developments.
Oh, that's right, Nancy. Chief Surpass wrapped up his news conference about an hour ago. He seemed confident that they would be making an arrest soon. As you said, the investigation is in full swing. He believes they're chasing down a lot of good leads with the help of the public, but he'd like more people to come forward, especially if they have surveillance videos or cell phone pictures, as they continue to try and find as many as 3 people, he says, who may or may not have been gang-related, responsible for that shooting that wounded 19 people at the intersection of North Villeray and Frenchman Street Sunday afternoon, Mother's Day afternoon. 6 people remain in the hospital this afternoon. 3 are critical. The FBI and the ATF are assisting in this investigation, and police say they are making headway.
I can assure whoever did this, we know a lot more about you than you think we do. And my recommendation to you is to collect yourself and turn yourself into the nearest police facility, the district attorney's office, or anywhere you may want. And in an unusual move, the 7th Ward intersection of North Villeray and Frenchman is completely shut down tonight as police continue their investigation and get ready for a community rally tonight at 6 o'clock. There are also some tales of heroism starting to emerge. Jarrett Pytel loves Second Lines. He's a third-year medical student at the LSU Health Science Center who was 10 yards away from the gunman and glad he was there to help.
The first lady I saw had a really bad break on her arm. She had someone helping her and just, told her to cover it so she didn't get scared. The gentleman that I helped who got shot through his arm, someone was there and put a tourniquet on, and we ended up taking it off a little bit later because he wasn't getting any blood flow to his arm.
Now, Pytel says he will continue to go to Second Lines. He says he has not experienced anything like what he experienced yesterday. We talked to some people who say they are not so sure. For his part, Chief Surpass told us just a short while ago there were 10 officers assigned specifically to the Second Line parade, and he says he usually doubles up, pulls in another 10 officers. So there were as many as 20 officers there. So the chief basically saying that there was enough manpower there, and in spite of some people's concerns about whether or not they should continue, he says they're an integral part of the culture and should continue. And he says the manpower he had on staff yesterday down there should have been enough. But the chief speaking confidently that they will make an arrest soon, just asking the public to come forward with whatever additional surveillance images they might have to help police make an arrest. So that's a story from NOPD headquarters this afternoon. Kim, Nancy, we'll toss it back to you.
All right, Rob Masson live. Thank you.
Many of the 19 victims from yesterday's shooting remain in local hospitals. 11 of the victims were sent to the interim LSU hospital. We're told 3 are still in critical condition, 1 is stable, and 7 of the victims were discharged. One doctor who treated victims at LSU says some of them have a long road to recovery.
Of the patients that we have, they had some fairly severe injuries, intestinal injuries, liver injuries, kidney injuries, some fairly severe injuries, and so far they're doing fine, but they've got a long way to go.
At Tulane Medical Center, 1 victim is listed in good condition, 1 in fair, and 1 person was treated and released.
This is Fox 8 News at 10 p.m.
We would like to remind the community and Akeem Scott that the time has come for him to turn himself in. As we said this afternoon, we know more about you than you think we know.
Police Chief Ronald Surpass names a suspect tonight in the Mother's Day shooting that injured 19 people. Good evening, I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Kim Holden. NOPD investigators say 19-year-old Akeem Scott opened fire on a crowd enjoying a Second Line parade yesterday.
Let's go straight to Meg Gatto at police headquarters with the latest.
Well, Lee and Kim, Chief Surpass says the SWAT team will stay out all night tonight looking for 19-year-old Akeen Scott, the prime suspect in yesterday's shooting. Now, Scott has not been found yet, and again, Surpass urges him to turn himself in and tells the members of the community, if anyone knows of Scott's whereabouts, to call Crime Stoppers, do the right thing, and help him be arrested. Now, earlier this evening, the SWAT team executed a search warrant on a home in the 3600 block of South Roman Street. We were there just moments after the SWAT team left as NOPD detectives were searching that home. There were also 2 women who were detained on the scene, put in handcuffs outside of the home. Chief Surpass telling us tonight he's not aware of any other arrests that have been made in relation to this case. The SWAT team then moved on to Frenchman Street. They searched 2 locations there on Frenchman looking for Scott, but were unsuccessful in their search for him. Now, surveillance cameras captured images of a man police now say is Scott opening fire on a crowd of some 300 people celebrating Mother's Day yesterday with a second line. 20 people were injured in the shooting. Some suffered gunshot wounds. Some were grazed by bullets. We know of at least 1 person who was injured trying to run away from the scene as chaos ensued at the intersection of Villeray and Frenchman Streets where that shooting happened. And Chief Surpass telling us tonight that Akeen Scott is actually no stranger to that area.
We have reason to believe that Akeen Scott frequented that area for a lot of different reasons. In fact, his arrest in March of this year, which involved a tremendous number of serious crimes, was not far from North Villeray and Frenchman, and our 5th District officers made that arrest.
And Surpass telling us tonight that Akeen Scott has been arrested before on charges of narcotics violations, illegal possession of a firearm, and according to our sources, just a few weeks ago, he was let out of jail on one of those charges of illegal possession of a firearm, being released from jail on a $15,000 bond. But again, NOPD continue their search tonight for this 19-year-old Akeen Scott, the main suspect in yesterday's shooting that injured 20 people in the 7th Ward, and urging anyone, if they have any information about this crime, to call Crime Stoppers. There is a $10,000 reward, and you can remain anonymous for information. The number is 822-1111. That's the latest from here at NOPD headquarters. Kim and Lee will send it back to you.
All right, Meg Gatto, thank you.
We begin with breaking news in connection to the Second Line shooting on Mother's Day.
It is a case that's made international news, and Shelley Brown joins us live with more on the arrest of that 19-year-old suspect. Good morning, Shelley.
Good morning, Liz and Jerry. You know, we know that the New Orleans Police Department has been searching this city 24/7 for the last several days since Mother's Day on Sunday. They arrested 19-year-old Akeen Scott late last night in Little Woods. That's the area along the lakefront in New Orleans East. And they wanted to make it known that they got him as soon as it happened with a post that they put on the department's Facebook page. In all caps, it says, "Captured. NOPD has arrested Akeen Scott in connection with the shooting of 19 people on Mother's Day." He was questioned and taken here to central lockup at OPP about 1 o'clock this morning. He faces 20 counts of attempted second-degree murder. Fox 8's Meg Gatto was here as he was brought in.
19-year-old Akeen Scott was arrested by NOPD officers at around 10:45 Wednesday night in the Little Woods neighborhood in New Orleans East. A few hours later at 1:30 this morning, he was brought here to Orleans Parish Prison by 2 NOPD officers. Now, the NOPD believes Scott opened fire on Sunday afternoon at a Mother's Day second line, injuring 19 people, including 2 children. Some of those victims are still in the hospital. On Monday night, NOPD Chief Ronald Surpass announced that Akeen Scott was the main suspect in this case and that a major manhunt was underway as police officers tried to locate Scott. He managed to elude police until Wednesday night, again at around 10:45, when he was arrested in New Orleans East. Now, Scott is no stranger to police. He's got previous arrests for things like possession of firearms and narcotics violations. He will be kept here at Orleans Parish Prison, we're told, and for the foreseeable future until the charges are brought against him for the crime that he is alleged to have committed Sunday at the second line the Mother's Day second line in the 7th Ward. For now, that's the very latest from here at Orleans Parish Prison, where at around 1:30 this morning, Akeen Scott was brought by 2 NOPD officers. Meg Gatto, Fox 8 News.
And Meg mentioned those previous arrests. Prior to last night, Akeen Scott was arrested just a couple of months ago, back on March 5th, for illegally carrying a weapon as well as narcotics charges, but he was released on a $15,000 bond. Ironically, Scott was scheduled to be in court this morning facing those charges, although we're not sure if that's going to happen just yet because of these latest developments this morning. Liz, Jerry, back to you.
Good afternoon. Let's go to some breaking news right now. Mayor Langer speaking following the arrest of the 19-year-old suspect in the Mother's Day shooting.
I've had enough. As all of you know by now, 19-year-old Akeen Scott was arrested last night at around 10 p.m. in Little Woods neighborhood in New Orleans East. He was subsequently booked on 20 counts of attempted second-degree murder after callously shooting into the crowds of hundreds of citizens this weekend on this very corner, injuring at least 20 people. As far as we know, at least 3 of our brothers and sisters are still in critical condition. They need our prayers and support, and I know that the people of New Orleans and the people of America will respond. There's too much death and violence on the streets of New Orleans, and though we are not all at fault, every one of us that's standing here today, the people in the city of New Orleans, the people in the state, and the people of America are, in fact, responsible for finding an answer to this problem that has been with us too long. The people of this city are going to reclaim this block. They're going to reclaim this city. Next week, we're going to demolish the blighted house next door to this property here. Chief Buckner and the original Big 7 Social Aid and Pleasure Club will be back out here on this very street, on this very spot that we called Sacred Ground the other day on June 1st at 1 p.m. And we are going to do what we have to do to protect our culture and our great city. We will not bow down. That is a familiar phrase to all of us in New Orleans, and we will not back up.
This is Fox 8 News at 4 p.m.
The message to these gang members: you can't scare nobody anymore, and you have no idea who calls us now.
6 people are now in custody facing charges in connection with Sunday's shooting during a second line parade.
We have team coverage over the next 2 hours, including how police found the suspects and fears of retaliation in the 7th Ward. Good afternoon, I'm Nancy Parker.
And I'm Kim Holden. Major developments today in the case of a 19-year-old man accused in the Mother's Day shooting spree that authorities now say injured 20 people.
19-year-old Akeen Scott appeared before a judge this morning who set a $10 million bond to keep him in jail until trial. Police also arrested his older brother, Sean Scott. Both men now face 20 counts of attempted second-degree murder. Rob Masson was there and has more.
And Kim and Nancy, Akeen Scott appeared before Magistrate Judge Gerard Hansen and appeared somewhat disinterested. He was appointed a public defender who said he would make no statements to police or investigators without their presence. The appearance came just 12 hours after his arrest in Little Woods after a large manhunt involving the NOPD, FBI, and the U.S. Marshals Service. Akeen Woods now been charged with 20 counts of attempted murder, charges which could be raised if any of the 3 victims still in critical condition get worse. Police said they were looking for more suspects, and today we learned they had arrested 5 more people, including Akeen Scott's 24-year-old brother Sean, who police say was on Frenchman Street at the time of the shooting and part of a gang called the Frenchman Derbany Boys. Sean Scott is now charged with 20 counts of attempted murder as well as heroin possession and other drug charges.
Sean is currently wanted for illegally carrying of a weapon. Sean is currently wanted for possession with the intent to distribute controlled dangerous substances. Sean is currently on parole for possession with intent to distribute heroin and cocaine until December of 2015.
The rules of the game have changed on the streets of New Orleans. We are demanding that the shooting stop, and we will make sure that we do everything in our power, which I hope people now see as substantial, to make sure that we protect the citizens of New Orleans.
And Sean Scott has not appeared in court yet, so no bond has been set. His arraignment is set for tomorrow morning in front of Magistrate Judge Gerard Hansen. And in spite of the Mother's Day violence, the mayor's adamant about second lines continuing in the city. He says the original 7 Social Aid and Pleasure Club, the same group that conducted the Mother's Day second line, will hold another one at the same corner on June 1st. So they're determined to keep this culture going.